I am Vinnie Tortorich. Folks, your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed. Yeah, and here we go again. Somehow that song was on my mind because we're on the last day of the year. That's right. Most podcasts take a break, or they run their best of, or, we're going to be out. We'll come back in January. This is the last day of 2025. And guess what? Here we go again. You know why? You know why we do it, folks? Because your body never takes a break. Your body doesn't go, you know what? It's the last day of the year. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back tomorrow. When you think about it, if your body takes a break, that's called death. That break is permanent. Right? It's funny because when I was playing that song, I was watching a video and watching the late, great Tony Katane doing splits on David Coverdale's car. That was his car, by the way, that Jaguar.
That poor car.
That poor car. That's the luckiest car in the world. Are you kidding? You got some Tony Katane spooge all over it. Yeah, that's how you do it right there. I knew her a little bit back in the day. Of course I did. The 80s was my era, and she was knocking around Hollywood at the same time I was knocking around Hollywood. So you end up running into these people at various places, and I'm not going to speak ill of the dead, but she was she was something else. Let's just put it that way. Tony was she was the one of a kind. Folks, that voice you heard popping in there just now, that was the beautiful Mr. Chris Shaffer. Yeah, there he is. Chris, last day of the year. And
Vinny,
yeah.
Is this the only day of the year where somebody can say, I'm going to start tomorrow, and have that be a somewhat legitimate excuse?
Yeah. Look, I get it. You're eating chocolate right now. You start over. It's the first day of the year. That would be in about 20 minutes from right now. Yeah. Good call, Chris.
But do it better next year.
So Chris, I'm gonna give a little, behind the scenes here. Chris and I were having a conversation a couple of days ago. And I said, Chris, I want to do something on the Wednesday show. We were talking about something else, and this just came up. I said, I want to do something, and it's going to probably take us somewhere between 8, 10, maybe even 12 shows to do it. But over the next, starting not this week, we're going to wait until next year. Next Wednesday.
We're going to start in the new year.
Yeah, so what's next Wednesday, Chris? What's the date on that? Like the 3rd, the 4th?
7th?
7th from right now, I guess. Yeah. Next Wednesday, we're going to start a brand new thing where this whole podcast is going to be dedicated to Chris only asking me health and fitness, well, not health, but fitness questions, how to get in shape. Now, this is not the whole list. Look at this, Chris. I got a notepad. This is a partial list of some of the stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to do a whole show on cardio versus strength training, which builds more muscle, etc., which builds, which helps you burn more calories, which helps you burn more fat, that kind of thing. So we're going to give it's going to be like an overview, right? Because people always say to me, what's the best exercise? And the real answer is, well, it's the one you're willing to do. Well, some people are just willing to do whatever it takes. And that first week on the 7th, we're going to give you everything you need to know. Right? We're going to have a whole show on reps and sets. and going to failure and what that all means. You know, Chris, I bet you don't know this. Well, you know this, but some people don't. When you say rep, what's a rep? What's a set? How long do I wait in between? All of that's going to be addressed in that show, right? That's all we're going to talk about in that show. I'm going to do a whole show on one set to failure. Now, I've done it before with people like Ben Bocchicchio and others, but we're going to do a whole show just one set to failure, what that means, how to do it properly, that kind of thing. I'm going to do a whole show on a 6-day routine. A 6-day routine. Now, you're going to go, well, Vinny, you're going to put out a 6-day routine, right? Yeah. Chris and I are working on that. We've been working on it for a whole year. Still not out. But that's going to be coming out in the midst of all this. But we're going to talk about what it takes to do a 6-day routine. Is it for everyone? I don't know. You'll have to listen. We're going to do a whole thing on a 4-day routine. Now, the routines, these are dealing with weightlifting. Why would one choose a 6-day routine versus a 4-day routine? Do you get the same out of it? This kind of thing. We're going to do a 2-day routine. Well, geez, you obviously can't get as much out of a 2-day routine as you can a 6-day routine. Can you? I don't know. We're going to find out. See, I already know the answers. You guys are going to find out. Every week when you show up on Wednesday, you're going to get this. Here's one of my favorites. This is going to be a tough one to do. The gymless weightlifting routine. Now, it's going to require that you have a little space. You can even live in an apartment. Look, I've lived in guest houses and pool houses and apartments most of my life. I still had equipment around. Wasn't a ton of equipment, but I was able to do stuff. Sometimes I lived in one room. As a matter of fact, some would say this basement I built out is because I'm kind of like a guy. You know how you see these movies? They have these movies like the guys that were in captivity somewhere in, Eastern Europe. They're in captivity for, like 10 years or whatever. And when they get home,
what movies are you watching?
Like you're a prisoner of war over in one of these foreign countries. You know what I'm talking about?
All these movies with dudes that are held prisoner in former Soviet bloc countries, that genre.
And they sleep on the cold, hard floor every night. And then when they get home, they get saved and they go back home and they can't sleep in a bed anymore because they're not comfortable. When they once their wife falls asleep, they look around, they get back on the floor because it's the only way they can be comfortable. And then they have the dreams about being tortured and what have you. That's when they show you.
Pretty sure that's called PTSD.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, some would say I have PTSD because I've created this thing down here that's got a television, a comfortable chair, and then right behind the comfortable chair, there are 3 aerobic machines. There's an Echo bike, there's a spinner, and there's a Concept 2. And right over here, I can pull out a paddle erg. So there's 4 aerobic devices right here in this room. And right behind me, folks, that's not for scenery. That's a full weightlifting rack. I have benches. I could do a whole workout in this room. This is my PTSD. This is my whole life. I bought a whole house. And Chris will tell you, if Serena, whenever we're doing business during the day, I'm down here. I can't use the rest of the house. I don't know how. I really don't. Sure, I go up and I sleep in the bedroom. And I go to the kitchen to eat food, to make stuff and what have you. But yeah, I've created a whole life in one space because this was my entire adult life. I'm not comfortable anywhere else. But you know what? I get my workout done here. I'm going to teach you guys how you could go on Facebook Marketplace or eBay or somewhere and buy stuff for cheap and have it right there and get a whole workout. So it's going to be the gymless workout. That's one of the shows we're going to do. Oh, Chris, recovery and mobility. That's going to be a whole show. People go recovery. That's going to be like a wimpy show. I'm going to skip that one. No. See, we don't build muscle when we're working out. We build it by recovering. And you want to keep your mobility, right? You don't want to tighten up. So we're going to talk about that. We're gonna do a whole show on creating habits that stick. All around working out, right? I always say, we create habits like, wiping your ass and brushing your teeth. Those are habits. You would never consider not doing those two, right? I mean, everyone in the free world will do those two things. I've been to third world countries where I've reached for the toilet paper and it wasn't there. Because in third world countries, a lot of times there's no toilet paper. So don't think everyone's wiping their butts, right? But we've created that habit. You would never consider not doing it here, right? Exercise has to become the same thing because we've made life so easy that we don't have to wipe our own ass anymore. I'm talking about exercise. All right. And, I think everyone's going to tune in for this show. Natural ergogenic aids. Do they work? Well, I got news for you. Most of them don't. Some of them do. So we're not going to go through all of them. But, that's certainly, as people always say, what about beta alanine, broski? What about that? We'll go through a few of them. And we'll talk about the ones that work and the ones that don't. So that's already 10 shows we have on the list. There may be more. Right, Chris?
Well, there may be more. And I think one of the things that we talked about was if we get into this series and people want to hear more, let us know what you want to hear. If there's something that we're not covering. Because we don't know, right? You have your known knowns and your unknown unknowns, right? The things you don't know that you don't know.
Right.
And you know a lot, and I know enough to make me dangerous. So the question is, what are we missing between the two of us in terms of questions or habits, routines, any of those kinds of things?
Yeah.
So we may ask you all at some point to start getting some more ideas for that.
Yeah. Also, early in the new year, people are asking us, what about the VIP group? I won't open that until we have the workouts. Now, by the time this show comes out, I will be flying back in. I'm probably just getting home by the time this is released. Right. So I've gone off for holidays and I'm back today on the 30th.
How was your trip?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, the in-laws were great. But
it rained the whole time.
Yeah, as England, it really does feel like Christmas when you go there. It's like raining and sleeting and icy, and you got to walk around with wool on the whole time.
Little kids on crutches wishing everyone Merry Christmas. Yeah, it's the whole thing.
Please, sir, may I have more? There's a lot of that going on.
There's like ghosts on Christmas Eve and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You got to wear the hat on your head when you sleep. The sleeping hat, and you wear the long john underwear with the flap on the back. Yeah, the whole deal.
Which, by the way, when did sleeping hats go away?
I don't know, but I want to bring them back.
And also dudes wearing nightgowns. That used to be a thing.
I know. All right. Here's the thing. Now, this goes under the heading of too much information, but it's the last show of the year. Why not? I used to sleep Daffy Duck style.
Tops, no bottoms.
Yep. Just a t-shirt on. Keep, because your chest gets exposed during the night. No bottoms. I know a lot of people are going, oh, you gross MF. But look, I was a bachelor. We talked about this. I lived in one room. Pool houses in Beverly Hills of the rich and famous. And then I met Serena. And Serena came with a daughter. She was a little kid. Tallulah was so cute back then, a little tiny thing. And then at some point, when we were in a relationship and we told Tallulah about the relationship, now I was staying over at the house. Yeah, that's a weird move when a woman you're dating has a kid, and at some point you have to start being introduced to the kid, and then months later, now you're going out for dinner and ice cream and the whole thing, and they get used to you. And at some point, about a year, maybe a year, 2 years later, we decided to move in together. Right. So now I'm over there, even when Tallulah is with Serena, because she was at her dad's house half the time. And I couldn't be walking around with the Daffy. Right. I can't go in the kitchen for a cappuccino in the Daffy. I think the authorities frown upon that.
And yet, it's somehow acceptable for you to walk into the kitchen with bottoms, no top.
See, I wouldn't even do that around a kid. I wouldn't, I
wouldn't do that generally. Like, I don't do that in my own house in the kitchen.
Right. You go to the kitchen, you should have clothes on. I mean, it is what it is. Right?
I'm not a fan of the eating without clothes on thing. Is that a body dysmorphia issue? Maybe. Is it that I just don't want mayonnaise on my chest? Probably.
Yeah, look, it's a thing. I think it's appropriate. You go in the kitchen, you should be somewhat dressed. At any rate, Serena says to me, and she goes, listen, we need to get you some pajamas here. And I'm like, oh God, I don't sleep in pajamas. And she goes, yeah, but now you got to put them on. And I was like, well, I guess I could put them on when I go to the kitchen or whatever. But then it turns out that kids can walk into the room at any time. Right. So I just got used. So the whole thing with Serena was like, you got to get pajamas. And I hadn't owned pajamas since I was a little kid, So I was like, I don't even know what that means. And we talked about the night. She goes, you can do the nightgown thing. I was like, really? That's an option? So that's why this whole conversation started. I thought about doing it because I was like, I don't want my nuts all tangled up in pajamas and this and that. And she goes,
I want to feel constricted while I'm asleep.
Yeah. She goes, well, they make these nightgowns for men. And I'm like, I considered it for a long time. But
only a British woman.
Yeah, but I ended up going with the flannel. And once I got used to those flannel pajamas, I got into it. Yeah.
Here's the question, since we're already in TMI category: flap or no flap?
No flap. No, it was just the flannel bottoms and flannel. But I never wore the top. It comes as a set. I just wore the bottoms and still just wore a t-shirt up top.
Yeah, if you ever see Vinny in a flannel top, that's actually just his pajamas. That's what I just learned.
Yeah. No, I got a lot of flannel shirts, because I'm a Hallmark guy. So
yeah. Secretly a lumberjack.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how I got into that. But yeah, look, this show is going to be about nothing, be honest with you. We just wanted to introduce to you guys that in the new year, the VIP will be open. It may be open. If we could get it out, we're doing this show on the 10th. Right? Chris, are we anywhere near? I'm asking you on the air.
Yeah, and we have next week when I'm actually home, which is weird. Okay. I am not in this room anymore, which is great.
Yeah.
Speaking of living in one room.
All right, Chris, I'm going to ask you, what's the possibility that we actually have the VIP opened and the workouts out there before this show comes out?
95%. I think you and I just need to sit down before you leave the end of next week and make sure we have everything.
I can sit down on Friday. I can sit down on the 12th. I might be able to sit down tomorrow afternoon, but I'm waiting to hear back from someone.
We can do Friday. I'm going to be on a plane all day tomorrow.
Okay. Friday. This Friday the 12th, We're going to finalize everything. I'm going to do the little part I have to do to go in the front of these things. We're going to tack it on ourselves. Folks, Chris and I have taken over the editing of the stuff just to get it done because we couldn't get the guy editing it to literally do anything. We've been held hostage. You want to talk about being a hostage?
This is the torture Vinny went through that he dreams about at night.
You know, it's funny. I think my wife was in a movie called Hostage. I kid you not.
She was.
I kid you not. Look it up and see if Serena was in a movie called. I should know all my wife's movies.
That's the movie she was. It's Bruce Willis, right?
Yeah, she was in a movie with Bruce Willis. I think it was. I know she was a hostage in the movie. I've never seen the movie, but she played.
It's not amazing, but it's good.
She played Bruce Willis's wife. And I think because of the way the film was edited, they cut out most of her scenes. That's why I've never seen it. Was it a good movie?
Decent. I mean, it's not top Bruce Willis movies.
Yeah.
But it's worth a watch.
Yeah, speaking of Bruce Willis, I mean, he's done two of the best Christmas movies ever done.
There you go.
Die Hard
and Die Hard 2.
Yeah. Yippee-ki-yay.
Which, by the way, Vinny, have you ever seen the Die Hard Night Before Christmas book?
No, or maybe I have. What's it about?
It's the story of Die Hard told to Night Before Christmas. And it's written out, it's not animated, but, cartoonized.
Right.
And that has, I got that from my brother a few years ago at Christmas. My family has the tradition that Christmas Eve, we read The Grinch, and then we open, I'll open my brother's present, he'll open one from me, and then we do the whole Christmas morning thing the next morning. That has now become part of our Christmas Eve tradition, is to read Die Hard as the night before Christmas.
Well, I think you know this. One of our closest friends, because as you know, I don't have many people that are very close. Like I don't have very close friends, but someone who's near and dear to our heart, I think Serena and Doug are probably the best of friends. I know Serena considers him one of her best friends. Doug Richardson and Karen, his wife, he wrote Die Hard 2. So he wrote one of the most famous Christmas movies of all time. Yeah. And I've asked him, I said, Doug, everyone laments on whether he goes, it's definitely a Christmas movie. It's, when
that's
people.
Not a Christmas movie. That's like saying Home Alone is debatably a Christmas movie. Obviously, it's a Christmas movie.
It opens up on a Christmas party with a Christmas tree right there. I mean, it's got more Christmas stuff in it than a Hallmark movie.
The only thing it's missing is a Yule log cake.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Everything, what's it called? Nakatomi
Plaza.
Yeah, Nakatomi Plaza. It doesn't get more Hallmark than that. Right?
Well, half the action movie puns in that movie are Christmas related.
Yeah.
Right? Like, ho, 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 I have a gun now. Come on, like
everything about it.
Using Christmas tape to tape a gun to your back. It's all Christmas.
Yeah.
What we're saying is Bruce Willis is Santa Claus. That's what
Pretty much. And God, I wish him well. I know he's not doing well physically, but I wish him well. Yeah, Chris, I'm excited about the new year. I could not be more excited than I am right now about where this is all headed. Right. I said I want to do something special in the new year. And we're doing it right here on the Wednesday show. We have the workouts that are going to be out because Chris and I are finishing it ourselves. I just got through doing a consult with a guy. I'll tell you his name. I'll give you his first name, Jason. And Jason's been following me for a long time. He gave me his workout. He wanted to know what he can improve. He had it damn near perfect. And he goes, I can't wait, still with that. He goes, I can't wait for the exercise videos to come out. And that's what, that lit a fire under my butt. It's like, yeah, we got to get these things out. Right. And that's what's coming up. That's what we're doing here. And, Chris, I have an idea. Once we have the 9, 10, 11, 12 shows, all of them out there, I'm going to, how we used to, all right, wait, before I say this, let me ask you if this stuff can be done.
Yes, we can bundle it up and make it.
And we bundle. All right, because we don't have that Lipson deal anymore because Lipson does not do that, right? Is that part of what we can't do at Lipson?
We can't do it with Lipson, but we can do it with the platform we use to host VIP and let people who are in VIP get access to it. And then anyone who's not can get that separately if that's what they want.
Do we have our other bundles in there right now?
We don't, but that was something you and I were talking about yesterday.
Okay. So by the time this show comes out, can we have our other bundles in there? Like, folks, we have bundles that we used to sell. They were like what, like $10, $10 each, right?
Couple shekels each. Yeah.
Was it $10 or was it like $5? It wasn't a whole lot of money. We had like the cholesterol package. We had, what are some of the packages we had? And people, we sold a lot of those. People loved them.
Yeah, the original 10 for 10 and I think the cholesterol collection were the two that I've seen the most of.
Yeah, we would have to update the 10 for 10. So basically what we did was we took our top 10 shows and sold them to you for $10 so you can have them bundled up. And the reason we did that was at the time we had like 1,500 shows and people were like, if I just found your podcast, what would I listen to first? These 10 shows.
I got to correct you there, Vinny. You had 924 podcasts.
When I started that?
According to the sales page for the 10 for 10. Yeah. He said, I scoured my 924.
And what did I say, 1,500?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you did a second round at some point.
Yeah. And now we're at almost 3,000 shows. Correct me again, Chris. How many shows have we done now?
2,800 something.
All right, so we're close to 3,000. Yeah, we can update the 10 for 10. We can update the cholesterol thing. We're going to do one with these workouts, because people, look, you'll go, oh, why are you doing that? It's like, because we get so fragmented now with podcasts. When we started this show, I don't think there was over 150,000 total podcasts in the world. Last I checked, it was over 5 million. 5 million. And I get it. You have all these crime podcasts you got to go listen to, right? Because you don't get enough crime on Netflix and Hulu. You got to go listen to more crime stuff. You got to go listen to, I'm sure the Kardashians have one. I know my buddy Howie Mandel. Can you imagine Howie Mandel? The guy's on media all over the place, but he's got a podcast. It's like everyone's got a podcast. So when that's the deal, you really have to give people what they want. You got to break it down and give them pieces and parts. So we're going to do more of that. Of course, the workouts. We're going to bring you more products. Chris, you know what I need to look up? Because a few people have asked me now. And I want to talk about this for just a minute here. You know that product I'm using called the Hook for my hip? Or for my back? People have been, where can I find that? Let's see if is there an affiliate program? I'd like to get that woman on the show too.
Okay.
Can we look at getting that woman on the show before we even do an affiliate link? Because that product has been changing my life. I'll talk about that in just a minute. First, I want to tell you guys about someone who is advertising on the show, Jasper. JASPR. There's no E in there. JASPR.co/Vinny. Now, what is Jasper? It's about a 30-inch high cylinder, and the radius is about 1 foot, about 12 inches. It's substantial. It's an air scrubber. Now, look, when the guy first came on the show about a year ago, Mike Feldstein, I had him on because our very own Leona, she had just gone through, the fires in LA swept through her neighborhood. I think her house was one of the few that was standing. But my understanding is it would have been better if it had burned to the ground. Now, she would have lost all of her memories and, all of that in the house. But when you get all of that smoke, and I think their garage burned and this and that and the whole thing, and it just, her house is a mess. Like, that was the beginning of the year. They're still not living back in their house. That's how bad it is. And so I found out about this guy, Mike Feldstein. I had him on the show. He's a guy that does remediation, like mold remediation, air quality remediation, fires, and the whole thing. And we're talking on the show, and he was talking about how to get, allergens out of your home and how to get your house smelling, getting a smell out, whatever. He tells me about his product, the Jasper. And I'm like, yeah, yada, yada. But at the time, I had an air purifier right under this desk that was running. And Mike tells me, oh, no, the Jasper. At the end of the show, the guy says, send me your address. So I gave him my address. 3-4 days later, a Jasper shows up. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was a little annoyed. I was like, this big thing, what am I going to do with this? I don't know, what to do. I put it in my office. I turned the thing on. Every night before I went to bed, I turned it off again. And just a month or two ago, I figured out how much it was cleaning the air, because I've talked about this. I went on my Concept 2. I was cleaning it, and it didn't have any of the dust and all of the grime that builds up in that machine every year. That's when I realized just what this machine was doing. It was cleaning all of the dust out of the air. None of this dust was ending up in my lungs. And when I started thinking back over the summer, I don't really get allergies, but sometimes I'll get a little in my throat. All of that was gone. I called Mike. I started telling Mike about this. He goes, yeah, that's exactly what the Jasper does. And he even said to me, he goes, I thought you were going to put it in your bedroom because your wife snores. I was like, I just never brought it up there. I said, maybe I'll bring it up. He said, no, don't bring it up. I'll send you another one. Well, Serena will be on this show in the new year talking about the fact that she's sleeping better. And I'm here to tell you she doesn't snore anymore. Jasper has changed things in my bedroom. You want to go get one, you want $400 off, go to jasper.co/Vinnie, Vinnie. Let them know we sent you, jasper.co/Vinnie. If you forget to put the /Vinnie at the beginning, when you get to the promo code at the point when you're buying it, put in Vinnie, Vinnie, no MPY, $400 off of the Jasper system. That's what? 1/3 of the price gone, because it's 1/3 less, 33% right off the top. Go get a Jasper right now. Some people, we had a guy on the show the other day. He bought 2, saved $800. Jasper, JASPR.co. All right, Chris, what were we talking about before that? What was on my mind?
Talking about going into the new year with a good head on your shoulders. You were in a good mood, man. I don't want to poo-poo on that. So you want some good news before we get into 2026?
Yeah, let's just go with good news, because you're right. I am in a good mood. Why should we? Hey, Chris, we don't have to just do stories that are going to piss me off in 2026. I can't believe 2026.
So weird.
I know.
First of all, what happened to 2025? Where am I? Who am I?
Yeah.
Second, 2026.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Nuts.
Yeah. All right. I'm just trying to let that sink in. All right, go on.
So
good news, not bad news. Good news, Chris.
the New York Times
Yeah.
wrote an almost unbiased article today about saturated fat.
Get out of here. Really?
Now they quoted your favorite dietary expert, who kind of poo-pooed the notion, but
Go on.
they really are setting up for saturated fat to be the new eggs and make saturated fat great again.
Good.
Who knew?
Well, who was my favorite person? Because there's so many. There's Gregor. There's Dean Ornish. I know they're not on board. Who did they quote?
So they have Dr. Tobias. That's not who I'm talking about. Dr. Willett.
Oh, and so what
Because
did
of course-
Walter Willett have to say about this? Because he's so far up the ass of Unilever, he can't see straight.
The idea that eating more saturated fat would make us healthier is fundamentally bogus.
Well, look, he's on brand. If he had said anything else, I would have said, what happened to Walter Willett?
That was
Right.
kind of my thought.
Yeah.
But
That's
then
something
they
that's-
immediately follow up that quote from our good friend Walter Willett by saying there's a lot of debate among other scientists about whether all foods that contain saturated fat are equally bad for you. For example, full-fat dairy products like yogurt and cheese don't appear to be linked to any additional health harm.
Okay.
That sounds like a giant step in the right direction to me.
It is, but they're doing tongue in cheek, right? They're trying to get clicks. It's clickbait. Why can't they say red meat is good? Well, you want to know why? Because they did some crazy study way back when about hamburgers and said, well, people who eat hamburgers aren't as healthy as people who. Okay, great. We get that. You know why? Because people who are eating fast food hamburgers and drinking shakes and drinking Coke and eating the fries and all the other seed oil, of course they're not as healthy. But it's not the meat that caused the problem. And when you look at McDonald's and some of these things, it's barely meat, right? And when they talk about processed meat, they're not talking about really good, made bacon, like somebody, butcher who makes bacon. They're not talking about like the Parma prosciutto. They're not. They're talking about crap, right? Just crappy, just processed blah. And then they take that and go, well, all meat's bad. No, it's not. It's very good for you. It's the best thing you can eat. As a matter of fact, I have a show coming up with Dr. Anthony Chaffee, who has been on the show several times. He's coming on again to talk about just that, right? I get enough of these people just crapping on meat. Well, yogurt's kind of good, I guess. Yeah, yogurt is good. Dairy products are good. Cheese is good. And meat is great. Red meat, high-fat red meat, folks, is good for you, right? It's just, go on, Chris.
That seems to be the last leg of the stool that they're leaning on, is that bundling of stuff. And there's a couple places through the article that made me laugh, because it is a fairly neutral article on saturated fat, but there are 3 or 4 places where they say something like red meat, full fat dairy, and fried food. Okay, those 3 things are not the same. Like, that's like saying sunlight, water, and a black hole. Yes, all 3 of those things that exist in the universe. 2 of them, pretty good for you.
Yeah.
1 of them, crushingly bad.
I mean, look, Time Magazine did a thing a few years ago where they put butter on the cover. Remember that? It was like, butter is now good for you. And then they went into the article and explained, on the cover, they showed butter as, food of the year type of thing. And you got into the article, it's like, and then they start poo-pooing it again. It's like, well, what are we doing? What the hell are we doing? Saturated fat has been demonized for way too long. And we just simply have to stop it, right? I mean, look at society back in the 60s and 70s. I was the guy who originally said, go back to Woodstock and look at those kids. They look better than people who cross a line in a triathlon at 12 and 13 hours, right? You've done enough exercise to be able to swim over 2 miles, followed by riding a bike for 112 miles, followed by a full marathon. And in most cases, you don't look as good as the average person who went to Woodstock in 1969. Sorry, but that's a fact. That's a fact. So, you know, don't tell me that there's not a problem. You know, we've created this whole thing, and I don't want to get mad.
No, I my intention with this for once was not to rile you up, but to say that if even the New York Times has to give ground on this now, we're finally headed in the right direction. And they're talking about things like saturated fat from real food being good for you, and coconut oil, and all of these things that you've been ranting and raving about on the internet since the beginning of this show. Mainstream news is finally shifting on this stuff.
Look, I hope it's going in that direction. I watched a 16-minute piece, and I know people look at John Stossel as being political now, which is crazy. But I was watching a piece that he did on, I think I sent it to you on Wikipedia. Because remember, I've been yelling, you know.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that last night before you sent it to me. Yeah.
Wikipedia got rid of me. And when we went to Wikipedia and said, why? They said, well, one of our people who, one person, one vegan decided that I shouldn't be on Wikipedia. And I was taken off of Wikipedia. And they said, you know, I said, well, Chris and I tried for years. It's like, well, what's wrong about what I'm saying? And they basically said, we can't even prove that you're a person. And we had all of the articles and everything else that proved who I am and what I do. But according to Wikipedia, none of that mattered. Right? And now we're learning that Wikipedia, according to the 16-minute piece that John Stossel did, basically you have a few people who are curating this, and whatever they say goes. And now most of that shit is what's being picked up by AI. So it creates another problem. Right? So good luck, everybody. You know, the internet was supposed to be the information superhighway. That's what we were heading for. Good luck, because everybody wants their thing to be right. There's a universal truth in the world, and that's what I thought the internet was going to show us. You can, in the inevitable words of my friend Adam Carolla, you can Google yourself right about anything. Politics, religion, diet, health, whatever you want to believe, you can Google yourself correct. So it's very, very difficult to find the truth. This podcast, I do believe, is one of the few places, because look at it, I've kept it free. I don't make a dime off of people going to NSNG, my brand. No sugars, no grains. Do I sell a no sugars, no grains product? Well, I used to. But I didn't even tell people that you had to buy my ultra fat in order to be healthy, ever. Not once. And I had the opportunity to turn this podcast into a propaganda machine to push my own product, but I didn't. Right? I own a vitamin company. I've never once said you need to take my vitamins to be healthy. Not once. Nor will I ever. Right? I'm trying to get the truth out there to people. And that's all we're doing. Chris?
And I think that's the thing, man. You know, we can find any information. Heck, there's a lot of websites out there that say eating an egg is worse for you than smoking 5 cigarettes. We all know that's not true.
Yeah, that's Michael Greger's website. It's right on there. I refuse to call him doctor because, well, he's not a medical doctor. He says he is. That's just another one of his lies. But if he walked into a hospital right now, even though he wears a lab coat, a white lab coat with the stethoscope around his neck, does not make him a doctor. He is not qualified. Yeah, he's gotten some degree, right? He might be a PhD. He is not an MD, even though he says he is. He cannot practice medicine. Sorry, that's a fact. I just gave you guys another fact. And that's one of your vegan overlords who's telling everyone vegan is the way to go. I'm a doctor. Listen to me. He's not even a doctor.
Which, by the way, Vinny, do you know how he first became a big deal?
I do not. I know that his story is he was in medical school and then he decided instead of becoming a doctor to help people, he thought he could just leave medical school and go teach other doctors how to be better doctors. And I know he started writing books at some point. But in the vegan community, they will hold anyone up as a hero as long as they're saying the right stuff. So I'm guessing it had something to do with that.
Yeah, so I think it was 2004. He wrote a book that was saying how dumb low carb is.
Right.
And that's how he became famous. Now, as much as we talk crap about vegans on this show, you don't have a problem with the idea of the vegan diet other than it's not nutritionally complete.
Correct. If you want to be a vegan, knock yourself out, get used to eating a lot of avocados to get some fat in you, coconut oil to get a lot of fat in you. Try to get the best nuts you can find to get fat and protein, because that's as close as a good protein that you're going to find. You're going to have to supplement some vitamin Bs, especially B12. You're going to have to supplement other vitamins, probably some vitamin A, some vitamin D. There are ways today, because we have enough exogenous vitamin out there, that you can be a healthy vegan. Supplementing with creatine, a great idea if you're a vegan, right? There are a lot of things, a lot of amino acids, but I know a lot of the vegans won't take some amino acids because it's derived from animal sources. So there are ways to be healthy as a vegan. It's difficult. It's very difficult. As a matter of fact, I knew a couple of vegan athletes, and I will not mention names on this podcast, but they were cheating vegans. To the vegan community, they were claiming, hey, I'm this really good athlete, and I never eat any animal product. And I've been with a couple of these cheating vegans, these cheegans, when they were having cheese, not soy cheese, but cheese from a cow. And in one case, hamburgers, real beef. And don't worry, your secret is still safe with me all these years later. Some of these people have gone on to make millions off of, hey, I'm a vegan. This is what I do. The reason the ones that don't come after me is because I know where the bodies are buried. And it doesn't serve me to sell them out. Sorry. Chris, you have any idea who I'm talking about?
I have a vague idea of who you're talking about.
You have your phone next to you?
Yeah, I'll see it.
Hang on. All right, I'm going to write this to you. Do not say his name. I can't spell today. Sorry. Make sure this is you. Yeah. There you go. Was that who you were thinking?
That was my assumption, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's one more. Like bigger than that one. Like bigger athlete. But that's between me and you. All right, Chris, we're going to make this the last word of the year. Come back on the 7th. Folks, we're going to do the first in a series on the Wednesday shows. If you go out tonight and you drink, well, don't drink and drive. That's stupid. You don't want to do that. And don't drink too much. I know that sounds kind of nutty to say, but you don't want to feel bad on the first day of the year, right? And if you know, Anna and I, you know, on the Monday show, the show right before this one, we did New Year's resolutions. So think about it. If you're going to go out and drink really heavily and do all this kind of crap tonight, if your New Year's resolution starts on the 1st and you can't do it because you were too hungover, or maybe part of your New Year's resolution was, hey, I'm going to get effed up tonight and I'm going to start on the 2nd, that's fine too. But the bottom line is, make sure your New Year's resolution is attainable and try not to screw it up on day 1. And for whatever, Chris, remind me on every Wednesday show for the first 10 weeks, write this down, please. Write it down right now. I want to make sure that for those 10 weeks when we're doing these shows, or 12 weeks or whatever it is, that we remind everyone in every show to stick to their New Year's resolution. Because most people stop after 2 weeks, you know, the 14-day mark. That'll be 2 shows in for us. So if we just keep reminding people, maybe they'll stick with it the whole year. So Chris is going to remind me to do that. Folks, we all go shopping on Amazon. Before you go to Amazon, go to VinnieTortorich.com, click through the banner. It puts a little coal on the fire, gets my train down the track. We're able to keep the show free for a gazillion years in a row. Check out Pure Vitamin Club, purecoffeeclub.com. They're both on the same website. If you pull up purecoffeeclub.com, you'll see the vitamins. If you pull up purevitaminclub.com, you'll see the coffee. Also, I'm trying to streamline everything for you guys. I took over the company, and not only are we shipping everything on time, but I'm trying to make it easier for everyone. So that's the way we roll. On behalf of Chris Shaffer, my name is Vinnie Tortorich, and since we talked about Woodstock during the show, we're going to play a little bit